72 hours power reserve, accuracy improved, -2 + 4 seconds. That's really cool. Stabilizing the central second hand, also stabilizing the minute hand. Lots of technical improvements. Welcome back to WatchAdvisor on YouTube, where the watches are the stars. And with me today is Cedric Kaiser, who is in charge of the product development at Hublot. We are lucky guys because we were able to film this video before Watches and Wonders, so we had time to get really into details. And many of you might have seen the watch somewhere on Instagram, wherever, talking about the Hublot Big Bang Reloaded and say, oh, there's nothing new, what did they do? There's lots of things to discover.
There is a lot. And thank you for the introduction and spending time with us, because we need time to speak about fine watchmaking. And here, I think that project Reloaded is all about taking the time to discover the detail.
Yeah.
Then, thanks to your guiding through that details, your audience will discover all the energy that we put in that project specifically. Time is part of the journey, and we need time to discover every single effort from a technical standpoint, from an aesthetical standpoint.
Yeah. Lots of things happening under the hood here. Lots of things, technically interesting stuff, really interesting stuff. And some design parts have been changed. Discovered on this video. Cedric and me will disappear from your screen as always. WatchAdvisor, where the watches are the stars. So you will see the watch in front of you, and we will show you animations, pictures, everything to really describe and explain what's happening.
Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell to get our latest notifications.
Cedric, reloading an icon like the Hublot Big Bang is for sure not an easy thing to do, because everything you touch could be seen as wrong, and others would say it is not good for the older models, but you still did it. And at first glance, we have 3 watches. There are more. You will see them in the video too, of course, but we have chosen 3 of them: the blue one, the all black, and the classical titanium one. And I will pick the blue one to show you some details. Cedric, what was the main purpose you had in mind when reloading an icon?
Thank you for the questions, Alexander. This is, let's say, a long journey. There is maybe keeping in mind 2 axes of developments. The first one is for sure, let's say, display, show to people, open the doors of our expertise in fine watchmaking. That was basically the first axis. And the second one is, of course, keeping the expressivity of the maison. I mean, Hublot is always being perceived super expressive, where the design takes a large space within the expression of the object. But the challenge in that project is being sure that the design and the aesthetic serve the purpose of the fine watchmaking.
Before we go into details, especially into details concerning the movement, because lots of improvements have been done with the new Unico calibre, I will give you, as always on WatchAdvisor, some information about the dimensions. 44 millimeters is the case diameter. The thickness is 14.5 millimeters, 14.5 millimeters. If you are keen to understand how long, there are no lugs, so I can't give you a lug to lug distance this time, but how long the watch is, I've been measuring from here to here, 45 millimeters. So when it is falling on your wrist from here to here, it's 45 millimeters. Something we always mention is the so-called dial aperture. So what you really read, what you see, dial aperture is 33 millimeters, and it's only a little bit of a tapering of that strap. It tapers from 27 millimeters down to 21 millimeters. Water tightness of the case is 100 meters. So you have the basic information, and now, Cedric, please, let's jump directly into some details of the movement.
Yes. First of all, you see that there is sort of a semi-open dial. And the way we think about the aesthetic, as mentioned in introduction, is to highlight specific components which basically either highlight the premise of the caliber or highlight one of the patterns that we have associated to the Unico caliber. So we need to keep in mind that it's an integrated flyback chronograph.
What is flyback? I will quickly show this to you so you can, without doing the usual procedure of pushing the start-stop button and then do the reset, you can directly, when you do a measurement, press, and the hand will jump to 0. Everything, the minute counter also resets to 0, and then start from scratch. So whenever you need to do or interrupt the measurement, you just press here and you restart. Flyback.
Correct. And as said, it's a fully integrated caliber. So the architecture is super unique, and of course owned by Hublot, developed by Hublot. And through those 15 years of development, every single step was increased on elements pushing the limit of accuracy, quality, but also technicity related to that caliber. You see the column wheel at 6 o'clock.
You were one of the first to put the column wheel on the dial so everybody could see it.
Yes, of course.
I remember when Viva presented the
Yes.
watch, he said, we show what we have, and he put the column wheel on the front.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's a fair way to demonstrate the ability of the Maison to master those kind of complications, and also signatures of, let's say, preeminence and expertise that we have here internally on those kind of complications, for sure.
Let me ask you, why did you name column wheel? Why do you name all these things on the dial? What is the purpose? Is it design? Why do you have to specifically name all the technical?
That's a very good question. I think it's also give a certain purpose of that specific caliber. I take the other way around. Sometimes it's written on the dial automatic. I think that make difference from what we have as a unique here for the other chronograph that we have also within the assortment. We have alternative chronographs, but this one make even more prestigious and unique due to those specificities.
Okay, I was wondering because lots of information on a dial.
I mean, the more you are checking that dial and the caliber, the more you will discover the details that we basically hide here and there from the color perspective through the little lettering that you just mentioned.
So, column wheel,
Yeah.
6 o'clock, a little bit to the right, in between 5:30 and 45 and 6 o'clock. Then the date moved from
Yes.
3 o'clock to 4:30.
Correct.
This is something maybe that will cause another round of discussions because I know some people don't like it. I very much like it in a chronograph because if it's here where the date was, you're interrupting the readability of the 30-minute counter, and once it is positioned here, it doesn't disturb anything on the dial, and the readability is perfect.
Yeah.
Personally, I like that on a chronograph, but this will cause lots of discussions again, I'm sure.
So starting from the column wheel, if you pay attention to what's happened on the left-hand side of the column wheel, that we call the two backlash compensating oscillating horizontal clutch. So the clutches, in fact. You have to keep in mind that in this caliber, there is in fact two oscillating clutches, one for the second of the chronograph and one for the minute. The one that you see here, it's related to the second. And basically, there is two wheels fixed horizontally, okay? And then it's oscillating when you start the function to connect the energy from the bar dial and the standard time towards the chronograph indication. But the beauty of it is the shape of the wheel itself. We basically change the shape
Okay.
of the teeth of the wheel to avoid
Little bit of a movement, yeah.
correct.
Okay.
You have a little spin. So the beauty of it is, in fact, you are, of course, saving energy, and you avoid also that little effect of trembling in a way.
Yeah, so
But-
what is logical if you do a high-speed recording and when you do a reset of such a hand, you won't see it with your eyes, but when it comes back to zero, it will oscillate a little bit.
Correct.
Or vibrate a little bit.
Correct.
And with the new technology or...
The new patent and the geometry that we put within that caliber, so we decrease that effect.
Okay, doing a high-speed recording, you should see the hand directly setting to zero and being more or less stable.
At least, yes.
Okay.
Because we remove all that, let's say, little element and size between the teeth, and also due to the second button that we have, that we call the anti-shaking chronograph system, which is in fact, you can see on the back, in fact, there is a little screw just right in the middle. It seems to be super simple, but the beauty of that screw is that you can increase the pressure on the central second chronograph hands. And basically, when you increase the pressure on the hands, it's like your barrel attack. If you press it like that, it's super complex to turn it.
There's a screw here.
Yes.
And then you can stabilize more or less
Yes.
the central second hand.
Without, of course, dismantling all the calibers.
Okay.
So for the watchmaker,
It is much easier in service then.
and to set up perfectly the chronograph.
Okay. It will increase the pressure here on the axis,
Correct?
and it is directly linked here in the back. So you see here a tiny little screw. Yeah, we see something.
It seems to be hidden in a way,
Yeah, interesting fact, yeah.
but that's something that we'll develop specifically to decrease that effect that you described before.
There is a screw down crown here, so you can see this. It's open now. And when you pull out the crown, you can easily then set the time. And in the first position, you can then also set the date. You see here, the entire date disk. And we turn and change all the numbers until I come back to the 28. I am sure that this is an instantaneous date jump at midnight.
Absolutely.
And I will quickly do this for you. So I don't trust Sadri. Of course I do, but I want to show it to you. Look, we are continuing our little journey. Watch here, this is the 28. And what will happen when And the date approaches midnight. We are 11 o'clock. We're approaching, and you see, chop! Exactly when the hand passes 12 o'clock, the date change happens. So very nicely done, of course. This is standard today.
Another thing which is also interesting in that caliber, because you play with the crown, in fact, when you try to set the time, the current second is stopped.
So hacking seconds, of course, this is the running seconds here. And once you pull out the crown, of course.
Correct. So if you like to be as precise as you like to be.
Of course. Well, what else can we discover?
Another thing which also related to energy, that we called, in fact, the zero friction ratchet wheel blockers, it's related to the barrel and how we collect the energy through the oscillating weight. So in a simple way, of course, you move the oscillating when it's turning. That energy is storage in a barrel, easy. That's exactly correct. To be sure that the barrel stay loaded with energy, you need a blocker.
This here.
Correct. Usually, the blocker is a spring.
Yes.
So when the oscillating weights try to load the barrel, of course, you need a fraction of that energy to upload the spring and then back. So you consume a fraction of the energy instead of storage it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Here we basically developed a specific element, which is in fact two wheels back to back because they are in front. They just block the barrel without losing energy due to the spring effort.
But it's 72 hours power reserve.
It is.
Lots of power reserve, and this new mechanism.
And which is increasing also the pouvoir remontant, so the way we can capture the energy when you're moving.
Is it winding in both senses?
Correct, yes.
Good.
Of course.
Both senses.
Of course.
And we were talking about the accuracy of the movement before. -2 + 4 seconds instead of before -4 + seconds. So you have been improving accuracy. And the possibility to regulate the movement is much easier.
This is in fact a fine adjustment system, but the way we set up it is unique to that caliber. So first of all, you see the design. If you really pay attention to the design, there is a hidden logo design within that piece.
Age of Hublot here.
Correct.
Where my pointer is, there's the age of Hublot.
And which is very interesting is the shape of that horizontal spring. So the elements of that spring, so the geometry of that piece, give a certain elasticity. Okay, the watchmaker can set up the time, or let's say the accuracy and the speed of the balance wheel, just by turning one single screw, which give pressure to the spring, which basically have an incidence on the mechanism and on the balance wheel. Instead of trying to set up with millions of things, here it's much more, first, easy to access, and second, precise towards the time.
-2 + 4 seconds.
Yes, which basically is one of the, let's say, best standard of market as we speak.
Very good, I would say. This is almost perfection. And if you calculate that, assuming that one day has 86,400 seconds, and you break it down, you will come to an accuracy of 99.999 something percent. So it's almost ridiculous to discuss about, is the watch accurate enough or not? It is, of course. On the outside, you did also some little design changes, especially you invented a kind of a container here.
Yes.
That keeps the bezel
here
or protects, or how would you call it?
Yeah.
And of course, this offers you the opportunity to either polish or
fine brushed, depending of the material that we are playing with.
Yeah, you can
basically you can adapt exactly the finishing of the case. The purpose behind is, in fact, you know that Hublot is loving fusing materials and merging materials in a way. And here the idea was always, let's say, offering a combination of high-tech material, titanium and ceramic for the one that you have in front of you.
I will just take the black one to show what they did here. You see here. This is completely blackened, polished blackened.
Correct.
And adds, I would say, an absolutely new design angle on the watch. The older versions had a kind of a ceramic block sitting on it. And with that little container feature here, you can really bring additional
contrast, finishing and mixing different kind of material from precious to tech.
At the end of the video, we will show you 2 special editions where you do also find some engravings on it. So it's also possible to do this.
You see really the contrast of the material from the titanium to the ceramic. Always functional screws. That's the reason why the screws are not aligned, which is also part of our signatures.
Thank you to mention it, because I am sure someone would have noticed that the screws are not completely perfect aligned. Since they're functional, there is a point where you should not continue turning, otherwise you would harm the watch. It's how it is. They are not aligned.
Another thing that maybe we can mention, you cannot really see it through the videos, just the function of start and stop the chronograph, which is super, super smooth.
Yes. This is something I already felt in my fingers when I was playing around. This is really super smooth. There is a precise point you can press. You see me pressing, and then you feel when there is a little bit of resistance. In the beginning, it is very smooth, and then there's this one magic point, and you start.
Exactly.
Or you stop.
Exactly. And this is also one thing that we pay attention to. First of all, is the feeling, okay? But the technical purpose behind is also to generate as less as we can vibration within the calibers.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start and basically you have at the end of the function a sort of a blocking point, usually that generates vibration, which basically could affect the accuracy of the caliber through the time.
Ah, interesting. I didn't know that. But I learned. Really, it is super smooth. Could you mention it? It's really super smooth. And of course, when I push, you see the column wheel turning, giving the information.
You see the clutch moving from that function, so you see which is oscillating. So it's taking the energy information from the main calibers towards the chronograph information.
Here.
Exactly, which is also one of the patent things that we mentioned initially.
You see it moving. So the column wheel gives the information, and then it will transmission from the running gear train to the central chronograph wheel, and then it will be attacked, and then it will start completely smoothly.
Yeah. And maybe another thing that could be very interesting to mention, because I mentioned that there is 2 oscillating clutch in that caliber. Why? Because when you start your chronograph, you see the main one transmits the information towards the second chronograph information, but still there is a minute. And the minute, usually, it's on the same gear trains. Here, we decided to take straight the information towards the barrel thanks to another clutch. So once again, you consume less energy due to that mechanism. And it's all about how we can save energy, how we can increase efficiency, how we can decrease the challenge of a chronograph integrated architecture from all elements and expertise that we have.
Also, you kept the one-click system.
Yes, of course.
You were one of the first to do that, offering lots of possibilities to exchange straps if you wanted.
Yes.
And it's so easy. You just go, click, and this is it. You always need, very easy. And if you're in a mood, or if Hublot offers you different straps, this is caoutchouc. If you want something else, just click. No watchmaker needed, no tooling, just your finger, your nails, you press in there, or you use something to press on the button.
I also noticed something maybe could be interesting. It's a pure design element, but every information related to the chrono information is colored.
This is something I always point out when I show you chronographs. You might have heard me saying this. I very much like it if you at one glance, orange belongs together. So this is the minute counter and can't be the running seconds, because you have orange here and orange here. And of course, the indication flyback here is also mentioned in orange. And if we take the all black version, all black doesn't feature these colors. Otherwise, it would not be named all black. You just have the little arrow for the date here in blue. But this is monochrome.
This one is really, let's say, aligned to the full black. And by the way, for the little story, this year we'll celebrate the 10 years anniversary of full black at Hublot as well.
I always remember when Jean-Claude Bieber presented that watch. People were shocked. How can we read the time? And Bieber said, use your cell phone. This is art. We don't need to read it. But he was right. He was right in the sense of people said he's crazy or what is Hublot doing, but end of the day, everybody copied you. You were the first to do an all-black watch, and just a little time later, I don't know how many brands came out with the same thing. Pretty ridiculous. First they criticized you, and then they came out doing this.
We're okay. We're
never
fine.
mind. This happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, he also blackened. 72 hours power reserve, accuracy improved, -2 + 4 seconds. That's really cool. Stabilizing the central second hand, also stabilizing the minute hand. Lots of technical improvements. It, of course, shows that you are not only doing design objects or show-off objects, you are also really a watchmaker. And I think it's time that you start very much communicating on this, because there's lots of know-how here, and people are not aware of it.
Correct.
You have lots of know-how in materials. You are a pioneer in different materials, of course, but also concerning the development of the chronograph. And as I said, I think you were one of the first showing that column wheel on the front side. And it's nice, because this is really the programming wheel that really gives the information when you push the buttons. This little wheel transfers the information to all the other parts of the watch, and then executing the start, stop, the flyback, etc. And this is super smooth. Huh? You have nothing, and then you continue, tack. Super smooth. You just slightly push a little bit and it starts.
Yeah.
That's how it should be done. Take the black one. Be sure all of them are done in the same way. No difference. Super smooth. And I remember in the early days, Valjoux 775, you had to. It really was. You needed and then the reset. This was really, you had the way. There was a huge way. Yeah. How you say
super length.
Yeah,
way.
it was. You had to really, and then you had to push it. If you weren't pushing strong enough, then the central second hand sometimes stopped before, this was, oh my goodness, old days. Old days. We improved. I was talking first about using this new container also for some engravings, and there you go. This is a special edition for Usain Bolt, and one of his, let's say, mantras or things he likes to say when he's trying to motivate people is, anything is possible, don't think limits. And that's a pretty interesting possibility to, use a container that normally is just designed in a watch, and you use it here. Once again, anything is possible, don't think limits. There you go, it's engraved. I took away the strap. You see, one click, I just took it away, so it's easier for me to handle a watch in front of the camera. But here, the new container they have been developing for the reloaded watch is being used for an engraving, of course. And one little detail I want to show it to you. What you see here, I just heard that Usain sent a box of sand from Jamaica, from his private training ground. There is a thin layer in there in the glass. It's not part of the rotor, so if you think it's part of the rotor, it's not. I was thinking it is part of the rotor first when I saw the watch, but it is integrated here in between the glass. They have squeezed it in and it's above the rotor. But this is sand from his training area. The same applies here. This is the limited edition of Kylian Mbappé. You of course know who he is. I will not explain it to you, but here you see, trust yourself. This is his mantra. Hublot asked both of them, both of the superstars, what do they want to have engraved? He said, put trust yourself. And this is a motto that really stands out, because you have to trust yourself with everything you do. Unless you don't trust yourself, you are lost. This is the special edition. There is, I suggested that they maybe put something here, maybe, I don't know. Let me ask you, what if we take the Usain watch? Look, there's sand from his training area. What could footballer, what could he have been, or what could Hublot put in there to honor him? Let me know in the comment section. I hope we could give you an impression how the new Unico works and functions. And yes, these are little details, but at the end of the day, these little details make the difference. And you continue evolving, reloading, unloading, uploading.
let's say on reload and upload. It's a continuous kind of a journey, you know what I mean?
Firmware update.
Yes.
Nice firmware update.
Yes.
Unico 3.0 meanwhile, 1.0 was the first one, then you had the 2.
And there is some evolution, so still which is in a 2.xxxx, depending of what we are talking about.
The new watch, Hublot Big Bang Reloaded. Nice colors, and all the others we don't have here, we show you in the video. Yes, Sadri Kaiser, Chief Product.
I'm just Sadri, I'm okay, I'm fine.
Yeah, you don't want the titles? I like these guys. Thank you for joining us. And
my pleasure.
Leave all the comments, please, and discuss with us. If I can't answer your questions, I will pass them on to Sadri, and he will come back to me or directly on our YouTube site. But don't be shy, use the comment section to discuss this, and enjoy all the other videos that are coming through Watches and Wonders here in Geneva. Bye-bye, guys.